Welcome, 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 everybody. Michael, what's going on, sir? Please have your cameras on. I love to see some beautiful faces. Ira, what's going on? Jacob, Natalie, what's going on, folks? How you guys doing this beautiful morning? Good to see you guys here. I'm going to go ahead and get us over on Facebook really quickly. So Matt and Kimberly, if you can keep letting people in, I will get us over on Facebook. We'll get started in 1 second, guys. So I have so many people registered for this event, and I've been getting from all over the country in the chat. I'm in New Jersey. I'm in central New Jersey. Where are you guys from? Tell me where you're from in the chat. Just throw it in. Tell me where you're from. All right, I'm getting this over on Facebook for 1 second. I'm gonna start reading the chat and see where you guys are coming in from. I see a lot of people from North Carolina, South Carolina. I see a lot of people from Bergen County, New Jersey that I know. Now let's see who else is here as well. Let's get this chat open so we can see where you guys are coming in from. All right, where's my chat? There's Philadelphia, Philly. Listen, I was just in Philadelphia celebrating my anniversary. South Jazz Supper Club, went there, saw an amazing show. Love Philly. It's about an hour drive from my house. West Orange, South Jersey, Nashville, Tennessee, Orange County, New York, Richmond, Virginia. Okay. California, Arizona, Cali. I lived in California for 10 years, Southern California, went to Cal State Northridge. I don't know where you guys are in Cali, but I know that area very well. What else do we have here? Northern Virginia, Santa Barbara, California. Love Santa Barbara. Goleta, Camarillo. I used to live out there and go out there all the time. Houston, but in Colorado. Ashley, I think you may know this about me already. I lived in Houston for a number of years. My daughters were both born in Houston, and I've never been to Colorado, but it's definitely on my list. I see St. Louis, Missouri. That's awesome. Sickerville, New Jersey, Jacksonville, Florida. Okay. Living in Connecticut now, Rockland County. Thank you. Thank you for the happy anniversary. Just celebrated 22 years. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for that. Delaware. Okay. You guys are in the house. You guys are representing Southeast Florida. Okay. That's what's up. So if you guys know anything about me, I like to get started on time. So I'm just going to get started. But I wanted to say this. As you guys register for the event today, you went to my Facebook group and a lot of you guys registered, and I had some questions on there like, you know, what are your biggest challenges in real estate? And I was going through it last night and I wrote down a lot of them. And I just want to point out something that was really apparent to me. The biggest thing that I saw was consistency. Like that was the biggest issue that people were struggling with. But a lot of you guys were saying the fear, getting new listings, having strategies to use, not having a local sphere of influence was one of your challenges. Feeling defeated before you even get started. Man, I feel that. I understand that when I hear that. Finding motivated sellers, being completely overwhelmed, just not knowing where to get started. Like there's so much information. It's like drinking out of a fire hydrant. You're kind of paralyzed and not knowing where to get started. I heard time management. I heard, you know, being in an oversaturated market where there are tons of agents and you feel like you just can't break through. Those were so many of the things that I heard, but I have to tell you, overwhelmingly, the biggest thing that I saw was consistency. So I'm looking forward to speaking with you today. And I know after this 3 days, you're going to have a major breakthrough. And I appreciate all you guys being here. Let me introduce myself. I'm doing all this talking. You don't know who I am. I'm David Radney. I go by D-Rad, and I'm super happy that you're here today. And thank you for carving out this 60 to 90 minutes today so that we can actually talk to you about what needs to happen in your business, but more importantly, what needs to happen up here so that you can get to a point where you're taking 1 to 3 listings every month. We all know the market's changed. We know it's getting tougher and tougher to not only find the motivated, but then to get the motivated to speak to you and to actually work with you. And there's so much that goes into having a successful business in this market. I want to be able to have a conversation with you guys this week on how to break through that. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to be asking for a lot of interaction because here's the thing. We show up to these events all the time. And a lot of times it's for infotainment. I don't want that here. I want you to come in. I want you to plug in. I want you to hear the message. But more importantly, I want you taking notes so that you can implement what you're learning. So throughout today's call, I'm going to be asking you to talk to me in the chat. I'm going to be asking you questions, and I want that interaction because it shows me a couple of things. It shows me that you're paying attention and you're part of the conversation. And as you guys know, when you're taking notes and you're putting things out there, you retain it. I need you to retain what you are learning today. So there'll be a lot of interaction in the chat. I hope that you'll play along with me. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you guys right now. I want thumbs up. Who can I see? Matt, can you see? All right, perfect, perfect. So today is prospect to success. This is what I want to talk with you guys about today. And this is why you're here. We all want to get to a point where we are having success in real estate. So what I want to find out from you today, what's important is who you are. This is for new agents. This is for veteran agents. This is for listing agents and also for buyer agents. What I want to know from you is, who are you? I want you to throw it in the chat. And if you do both, if you work with sellers and buyers, tell me you do both. But who are you? Are you a listing agent? Are you a buyer agent? Are you new to the business and you're just getting started? Or have you been doing this for a number of years? Talk to me. New agent. Okay, buyer's agent, new agent. You've been doing this 7 years. You're a veteran. I see that, Holly. What's up? All right, 5 years in, new agent. Come on. I got a lot of people here. 60% listing agent, 40% buyer agent. Okay, you've been doing it for 2 years. You're a veteran. Okay, you're a buyer and you want to become a listing agent. Listen, there's one thing that I heard very early on in my career is that you list to last. And so when you say become a listing agent, I hear you on that. I feel you on that completely. And one thing I love about being on the listing side of the business is you can control your schedule and you also get to control your income because you negotiate your income up front. So I love to hear that. New agent, 1 year, Oscar, 5 years, but doing mainly buyer agents, both. Okay, 2.5 years, total of 9 years in the business, but you've been full-time 3 years. Okay, perfect, perfect. Thank you guys. I really appreciate that. Keep putting it in the chat because later on after the call today, I'm going to go through the notes. I'm going to be able to read who you are, how long you've been in the business. So keep putting that in as you guys join. Perfect. All right, let me go here. All right, so I want to talk to you about leveling up right now. So over the next 3 days, I want to talk to you about what we're going to cover. I'm going to be sharing strategies that I hope will help you to level up. The content we're going to go through today is mostly about mindset. Mindset's super important because if your mind's not in the right place, if fear is taking over, you're not going to take action. So we really need to discuss mindset. On day 2, I'm going to address the 6 common mistakes that most agents make. And on day 3, I'm going to show you the exact systems that top agents use to secure more listing appointments. And this is agent tested. This isn't theory. This is practical information that is used daily by top agents. So we'll be covering that information as well. So we're going to talk about a new way. You're going to be learning a new way. I want you to type new way in the chat. I want to make sure you guys are paying attention. Get off TikTok and Instagram. I want you to pay attention. Type new way in the chat for me. I'm going to show you how to effectively connect with your clients and to get them to choose you. This new way of presenting will allow you to easily connect with your clients in a very authentic way. This new standard you will create will allow you to be present in a way that makes your seller feel cared for and supported. And that's my goal, to show you the new way, not the old way. So you may be thinking, this is for a lot of you, and I know this from the answers that you put in. You may be thinking, I'm new. No one's going to list with me because I don't have the experience. If that's you, do not worry. I promise you, I've helped hundreds of agents get started and get out there and start taking listings by understanding the process. When the seller says, come meet with me, how to actually handle that process. All right. You might be thinking this. I know a lot of people feel this way. Scripts make me sound robotic. I do not like using scripts. I want to say one thing before I get into this. You may want to replace the word script with the word dialogue, because that's really what a script is. It's really showing you the dialogue that you want to have with the sellers that you're meeting with. So if you exchange that word and just say, I'm having a dialogue, instead of saying scripts, I want you to start using dialogue. Everything you currently do right now is a script. You have just internalized it and you made it your own. If you're not getting the results that you're looking for and the results that you need, allow me to help you learn how to internalize a dialogue that will lead you to have tons of success in real estate. So if learning how to use scripts to secure more appointments and how to convert those appointments to listings is important to you, I want you to type listings in the chat. If learning how to use scripts and how to convert those appointments to listings, I want you to type listings in the chat. A lot of agents tell me they've attended trainings like this before. You get all these trainings, all these different coaches that have trainings, and they didn't have results when they went through the training before. And they're coming to this training because they're looking for something different. I got to tell you, when I hear that, it makes me super excited because I know my training goes a few steps deeper and it puts you into action. You learn the material and then you actually implement what you're learning. That's what's needed in order for you to have success. We got to get off the sidelines and we have to get into the game. I hope you guys understand that. So I'm curious to know, though, out of all the people here, how many of you guys have actually presented to a seller before? How many of you guys have actually done a listing presentation where you sat down belly to belly with the seller? If you've done it before, type me or type yes, whatever you choose in the chat. Okay, so a few of you have. Okay, happy to hear that. Keep putting it in. Again, I'll read this later on, but I want to get a feel for the room. Okay. Well, listen, over the next 3 days, my goal is that you walk away from this training feeling very clear, very confident, and even excited about creating a presentation that allows you to blow your goals out of the water. You know, presenting a CAN listing presentation that connects with your seller and causes them to choose you almost every time is what you want. My only ask on this call is that you are open-minded and coachable. You're going to hear some things you've never heard before. You're going to hear some things that maybe don't make sense to you. And I just want you to be open-minded to doing things a new way. Because this is what I know. You have the ability to run a high-level real estate business. It's like my boy Raj always says, all I need is already within me. You already have it. You have that ability. If others can do it, you can do it too. So I just want you to throw away all the old belief systems and let's get out there and start taking names and listing houses. Can we do that? I know we can do that. So I want to talk with you today about what I call the 3 success frames. The first one, motivated sellers will always list. It's really that simple. A motivated seller will always list. The question is, will they list with you? That's the question. I know they absolutely will, but there are a couple of things that you have to keep in mind. First of all, you really need to make sure that the people you're meeting with are motivated. Secondly, and if you know me, you know how strongly I feel about this, you have to understand what is their motivation. I'm not talking about like all the surface answers we get. We call someone and we say, hey, do you have to sell your home? Yes, where are you moving to? California. And you're like, I got a hot one. Let me run out there and list this property. You don't really know enough. You don't know enough. You may go out and get a listing because you show up at the right time. And like they say, a broken clock is right twice a day. So there are going to be times that you get opportunities. However, if you want to be consistent in taking more listings, it's really important that you understand the motivation. When you're equipped with the right information and you're able to ask questions that connect with your seller, this makes you stand out because you aren't showing up like the typical agents that show up. Wouldn't you agree that if you're ready to step up and get into that next level, you'll have a bigger impact with your clients if you actually understand what's important to them? I'm sure you guys will all agree with that. So the second frame that I want to go over right now is you're more valuable now if. What do I mean by that? You're more valuable now if you understand what's happening in the market. If you are the local economist of choice, plus you must have a killer pricing and marketing strategy, but you're more valuable now in this market if you know the market. And here's what I know about most agents. We don't know the market. If I ask everybody on this call right now, how many active properties, how many under contract, how many sold are in your town, what's the average days on market, most of us wouldn't be able to answer that. We should be looking at those numbers every day. We need to focus on being the local economist of choice. And then lastly, with the success frames, building respect over building rapport. You have to earn their respect. And that starts before you even arrive at the house, which is why we're on this call today. There's a system that goes into you taking listings, and you have to start building that respect before you show up at the listing appointment. None of your clients are looking for a new friend. So we spend a lot of time attempting to build rapport. They're not looking for a new friend. They're looking for a real estate professional that can get the job done. And so that's what we have to build on, building that respect over building the rapport. Is this making sense? Type yes in the chat if that's making sense to you guys. All right. Thanks, Michael. Thanks, Reese. Appreciate that. Angelica, thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, let me get to my next slide here. So here's the challenge. When it comes to executing a winning listing presentation, there are so many different moving parts. It can be a bit confusing if you've never done it before. And have you actually ever sat down and tried to put together a presentation that will allow you to connect and convert? It's super easy to put all the information together and pack that presentation full of information, but you end up overwhelming yourself, and you also end up overwhelming the seller. So where do you even start? It's a lot. Trust me, I know that. Not only do you have to figure out how to put together a killer presentation, you also have to figure out all the motivation. You have to know your stats. You have to know the right questions to ask. You have to know how to overcome the objections that are being presented so that you can get the contract signed. There are a lot of times you go and you show up and you don't have that information. You're not getting the contract signed. And this can cause you to start doubting your skills when you aren't converting. However, you're not converting because you don't have a listing process in place. That's what we're working over these next 3 days. We're going to talk about what needs to happen so you can get to a point where I call being listing presentation verified. What that really means, just in a nutshell, I want everybody on this call, if you got a phone call and someone said, hey, Dave, I'm really interested in selling my house. I need to sell for these reasons. You're ready to go. All you have to do is run comparables. But as far as being prepared, knowing what to say, what to do, what to put together, what paperwork you need, you have that system in place already. What's the saying? If you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. That's where we need to be. And so that's what being listing presentation verified means to me. And here are 4 ways learning a canned listing presentation. And when I say canned listing presentation, for those of you who don't know what I mean, you have a presentation where you go from soup to nuts. You cover everything. There's an opening, you're reviewing their motivation, you're talking about where buyers come from, how buyers determine value, you're going over pricing, you're answering every question, overcoming every objection, and this is the biggest thing, and you're closing. Maybe not just one time, but maybe up to 5 times, but you're closing to get them to sign the paperwork and get the listing paperwork signed when you're actually at the house. So here it is, the first one, authority. Think about all the times you've been to a presentation from someone that was highly scripted. They had structure and the plan they followed, and they had a very systematic approach. They were an authority. That's how you need to be when you're in front of your seller. You need to be an authority on your market. You need to be an authority on pricing. You need to be an authority on marketing. So that's the first one. Second one is connection. There's something about presenting to a seller in their house. Number one, the seller is super comfortable. They feel safe in the comfort of their own home or their office. They're less distracted. Therefore, they're more open. You're able to connect with them. So you already have an advantage because you're able to meet them where they're at, right? They're comfortable. Now, this doesn't mean we can show up unprepared. We can't go in and wing it. In fact, your presentation starts before you even show up. I'm going to be saying that a lot today. A lot of the work happens before we even get to the house. You make the connection by making the meeting about the seller and not about you. Now, I know nobody on this call goes in and talks about how great they are and how great their company is. I'm sure you guys make it all about the seller, right? If you don't, you need to, and we're going to talk about the best way to do that. Because here's what I've understood, and I'll say this several times over the next 3 days. People don't care what you know until they know you actually care about them. So it's really important that we make it about the seller. We're going to be talking a lot about that today. And then income. Here are 3 things that I teach that I completely believe in. Number 1, your income is in direct proportion with your ability to have difficult conversations and solve problems. If you guys don't know this, the way you need to look at yourself as a real estate agent is that you're a problem solver. You have to find out what the problem is that the seller's having, and then you have to have a solution and solve that problem. That is our job as realtors. You help enough people get what they want, you will always get what you want. Quote by Zig Ziglar, I believe in it fully. And that's what we have to do. We have to show up and help that seller get what they want. And we know that they're either running towards pleasure or they're running away from pain. We have to figure out what that is, and we have to help them solve that problem and get what they want. And then lastly, your income, your commission is only an issue in the absence of value. So what you're going to be learning from me is, how do you show value throughout the entire process? From the first time you make the phone call all the way up until your listing presentation, you need to find opportunities to make yourself stand out and show value. And this way, commission's not an issue when you're showing your value. So once you master the listing process, it becomes repeatable. By following the process, it makes you consistent in what you say. It makes you very consistent in what you do. Here's a question I have for you guys. If you felt comfortable with your listing presentation and it was internalized, can you see how that would help you convert more listings? If you can see how that would help you convert more listings, what do I want you to do? I want you to write convert in the chat. If you can see how that would help you convert more, go ahead and type convert in. I love it. You guys are paying attention. This is top. Love it, love it, love it. So I want to know from each of you, why is mastering the listing process important to you? Why did you sign up for today? Why did you carve out this time to be on this call? Please put that in the chat. Why is mastering the listing process important to you? To convert, come on, put it in. Why is now the time for you to level up? What's changed? I know a lot of you, and I talk to a lot of you, are thinking maybe real estate's not for you. You haven't been having the success that you wanted to have in this business, and you're thinking about giving up. And a lot of you, this call is kind of like your last at bat. Like, I'm going to give this one training, one more shot to see if I can figure out what I need to do. And if I don't, it's time to move on to do something else. I see a lot of people agree with that. Yeah, being more confident to convert. Yeah, Christine, I hear you. I felt the same way. So when I say this stuff, I'm speaking from experience. I have felt the same way in my business. Grow your business. Okay, get ready. How to get started, lack of confidence, lack of a plan. Yeah, the last hurrah, like I got to make this happen or else. I get it. And I appreciate you guys, actually spending time with me today so I can talk with you about how to best do that. And I appreciate you having the time here today. So I want to share a couple things with you today. I'm talked a lot. You guys don't really know me. So I just wanted to give you an opportunity to get to know me a little bit. This is my family. The young lady standing right next to me is my youngest daughter, Morgan. My wife is in the middle, Michelle. We just celebrated 22 years of marriage in June. And my oldest daughter, Taylor, is 17. She'll be headed to college next year. So when you talk about big whys and why I do what I do every day and what's important to me, this is my big why right here. I want to leave a legacy for my daughters. I want to live a life by design. I want to be able to travel. I want to give my wife the life that she deserves. And it takes money to do all those things, especially college. I mean, I've been looking at these college prices and I realized I got to work probably 3 times as hard as I'm working right now. So this is my family. This is the Radney crew. And I wanted to introduce you to them. And I want to talk to you a little bit about my realization. This is when Michelle was interviewing me for a podcast, one of my Scotch and Scripts podcasts. But I just want to unshare the screen really quickly because I want to talk to you guys directly and actually let you see me. And thank you for everyone that says beautiful family. Here's what I want to talk to you about. If I can take you back really quickly to, it's about 2009. If I remember correctly, it was probably May of 2009. And I was in real estate, but I was working and doing HUD foreclosure. So I was really just working with investors, showing them properties, writing up contract, not a lot to it. It wasn't a lot of relationship building. I didn't have to go on listing appointments. And my wife had gotten a promotion. So we moved from Houston to Dallas, Texas. And I know a lot of you guys can understand this because I saw it in the notes. I didn't have a sphere of influence like a lot of you guys don't. I didn't know how to lead gen and prospect. And so here I am in Dallas and I'm like, what do I do? Like, I know that I need to get busy. I know that I need to make money. And I had a mentor Jeff, who worked in the Dallas office where I worked. And he was one of the first people to tell me, hey, you have to go after listings. And I'm like, sounds great. How do I do that? And so, he was sharing a lot of information with me, and I was going to a lot of classes. I was going to a lot of webinars. I was reading a lot of books. Every time they had a training, I was right there front and center, and I'm getting all this information on how to go out there and how to make things happen. But here's the thing. I wasn't implementing. I wasn't doing anything. I was just sitting on the sidelines. That whole showing up for infotainment, that was me. And it got to a point where I was like, I don't know if real estate's right for me. Like, I didn't realize that I had to make these level of phone calls. I didn't realize I would have to be on the phone every day, prospecting, talking to people, finding motivated people. And I was kind of stuck. It was kind of that phase of analysis paralysis. And I realized that I had to do something different. So I hired a coach. And one thing I appreciated about this coach is that he asked me a lot of questions, but he also listened. And he would always hear me talk about my wife, Michelle. And for those of you who know her, you know this to be true. When I tell you, my wife is a badass, she is a badass. Let me just tell you that. I have watched her for almost 25 years just break through every glass ceiling in the pharmaceutical industry. I'm so proud of her and all the success that she's had in her career. And, discipline is a word that I've been talking about lately. And when you talk about discipline, that is my wife. She is a overachiever. She's at the office from 8 in the morning. She comes home at 5 and we have dinner. After dinner, she's back on her computer working. This woman puts in work. And I used to tell my coach about her and how much I admired her and wish that I had that type of discipline and work ethic. So my coach heard that, and he didn't really say anything, but he was taking notes. He would hear how I would talk about Michelle. And so one day he pulled me aside and he said, listen, we need to talk. And I said, okay. He said, David, you've been going to all these classes. You've been reading all these books. You've gone to every seminar. You've watched every video. And yet the business isn't happening, right? You're not making any money. And here's what he said to me. And I've probably had in my entire life, probably 5 or 6 conversations where someone has said something to me and it like hit me here and it kicked my butt and got me into action. And this is probably one of the 6 times that I had a conversation like that. So because my coach listened to me, he understood that we had a ritual every evening where as a family, we sit down and we still do it. We have dinner as a family every night and we always share and we talk about our favorite part of our day. And so my coach said to me, you always talk about how busy Michelle is and how hard she works. And I'm like, yeah, she does. She's the hardest working person I know personally. And he said, David, if I grabbed your calendar and I looked at your schedule, I would think you were working equally as hard. You're here in the morning, you're at every class, you're at broker opens, you're doing all the things, but you're not making any money. And he said to me, here's what he said that had the major impact on me. And you guys remember this. Somebody put it in the chat and finish it for me. Logic makes you think, emotion makes you what? Put that last word in there for me, somebody who knows it. Logic makes you think, there we go. Emotion makes you act, there we go. You guys know, right? So logically, I knew, and I know that you guys know, that in order to make money in real estate, we have to go and get in front of people and have conversations. We know that logically, right? Here's what he said to me. He said, David, how will dinner go tonight when you're sitting around the table after you've watched Michelle work her ass off all day? How would the conversation go if you had to sit down with her and tell her that you chose not to do anything to bring money into your household today? I don't know about you, that hit me that actually made me emotional, where I started tearing up, because I had never looked at it like that. I was just getting ready to get ready. I just felt like I had to learn a little bit more. And when he said to me that I was making a choice not to bring income into my family, and I'm watching my wife just bust her butt every day doing that exact thing, I made up my mind right there. I kind of drew a line in the sand and I said, you know what? Starting tomorrow, I don't care how afraid I am, because I was afraid of prospecting. I was afraid of picking up the phone. I was afraid of rejection. I said, I don't care how scared, how nervous I am. I'm going to work tomorrow and I'm picking up the phone, because what I can promise you right now, this is what I said to my coach. I can promise you this. I'm never having that conversation with that woman. I'm never going to tell her that. So what do? I get to work the next day. I got my scripts. I got my for sale by owners that I've written down on Zillow, and I'm sitting there and I'm on Zillow on the website. I'm looking at every picture. I'm reading descriptions. Like, I'm finding busy things. I felt like I was getting ready to get started, but I was finding things that keep me from like having to pick up the phone and make that call. And I finally said, you know what, I was like, just do it. So if I can reenact how that day went, I'm going to tell you three things. The first one went like this. I picked up the phone and my hand is literally shaking like this. Like, and now I look back on, I'm like, what the hell was I even scared of? But the fear was a real thing back then. And I'm dialing the numbers. I was so nervous, I had to keep dialing the numbers because I was hitting the wrong button. I was so nervous about making the call. I make the first call. So I made 3 calls that first hour. The first call, I'm like, I'm like so nervous. My voice is shaking, right? I'm stumbling over my words. I'm skipping words on the script. And the FSBO hung up on me. And I was like, oh my gosh. All right, do it again. Let's do it again, David. So I get the phone again and I call the next number and I'm still shaking. I'm still nervous, and they pick up and I get a little further in the script. They asked me a question and my mind went blank. Like, I didn't know what to say. And I just sat there. I got hung up on, right? So here's the third call. I'm like, I'm no quitter. 3 times the charm, right? So I pick up the phone, I call the third person. Anybody want to guess in the chat what happened on the third call? Let me see what y'all put. What happened on the third call?
You start talking.
Appointment, hung up. I got the listing appointment. It worked. Let me tell y'all what really happened on the third call. On the third call, I got on there and I did so bad, I hung up on that FSBO. I was like, click. Like, I just kept messing up over. It was a shit show. I'm just telling you this. But here's what I'll tell you. I really did make the commitment to me, and I really did make the commitment to my family that I wasn't going to let fear stop me from making calls. I was going to stick with it and do it no matter what. And that's what I did. And I kept calling every day. And every day it got a little easier. I wasn't shaking as much. I was a little bit more confident with the script. It started to sound a little bit more natural. And when I realized, like 2 weeks into it, okay, not so bad. I'm still alive. Things are still okay. But more importantly, I started realizing, man, they all say the same thing. Not working with an agent. If you have a buyer, I'll pay you 3%. My sister's an agent. If I list with anybody, I'm listing with her. And I started realizing pretty quickly that they all say the same things. And so what I really needed to do was figure out how to respond to what they say. And that's what I did. I would make a call. It didn't go so well. I would write down what they said to me to stump me. I would research what to say. I would call them back the next day. And the next time I had that situation come up, I knew how to handle it. And over time, I hope you guys recognize this, you just get stronger, you get better over time, but it requires you to make a commitment to get started, right? It's one of the reasons I love this quote that's on my bracelet, and I say it all the time. I want it more than I fear it. I want to be able to provide for my daughters and pay for college more than I fear picking up the phone. I want to be able to take my wife on vacations and what she deserves more than I fear picking up the phone. I want to put money up into my retirement account more than I fear picking up the phone. I want to work for myself more than I fear picking up the phone. I didn't want to go back and get a job. I didn't want that. I wanted to be an independent contractor and work for me. I had to want it more than I fear it. And so that's what got me to where I am now. Like, if I didn't overcome that fear, I wouldn't be here as a coach right now. And what I hope to do is be the coach and mentor for you guys that I actually needed when I started. I needed someone who was going to push me and encourage me to keep going and make the calls and do the things that I needed to do. And I didn't have that. And yet I still did it because I made a decision and I made a commitment to myself. And listen, if we can't keep commitments we make to ourselves, right? We have to be fully committed. So let me go back. Let me share my screen with you. I have to stop myself because I can talk if you guys haven't realized that. So I don't want to do too much talking. I want to make sure I'm giving you guys some value here. So give me 1 second here. And I have some people in the waiting room. If you guys can let them in, please. Got several people in the waiting room. Hold on, let me do this. Okay, gotta love technology. Give me 1 second, guys. I just have to reboot something because this, gotta love technology. All right, give me 2 seconds. I'll be ready. All right, so really quickly, let me just ask you this while I'm getting this all set up. Based on the story that I just shared with you guys, how many of you have felt similar ways? How many of you resonated with that? I know it just can't be me that have felt that way about opportunities in my life and the fear keeping me from doing things, finding excuses, finding reasons to not get on the phone, you know, sitting there, getting ready, but never actually getting ready, constantly sitting on the sidelines. I know I can't be the only person. All right. I appreciate you guys being transparent and sharing that, because again, I can't be the only person. And this is why you guys are here, is to learn how to push past that, how to get to a point where you don't have that fear. Here's what I need you to understand. You only need one presentation, right? In order to have success, you need to have one presentation. How many presentations do you need to have? Put this in the chat. I want to make sure you're paying attention. You only need one. I want to introduce you guys really quickly to a good friend of mine, Patty Gurney. And if you know her, you love her. This is a lady who really introduced affirmations to me and got me to really think positive about my life. And she was taking one of my push classes. And when I talked to her after going through my training, here's what we discussed. She used to be petrified to practice scripts. And she was really against like the whole internalizing the listing presentation. The way she felt about scripts in the listing presentation was that it felt really clumsy and really awkward. However, what she shared with me was after numerous opportunities of being able to practice with fellow classmates, it started to feel more natural. By being comfortable with the scripts, it started to raise her confidence and make her feel better about getting on the phones and making calls. I love that she shared that, because that happens for all of us. In the beginning, it does feel clumsy. In the beginning, it does sound very canned. It sounds robotic. It doesn't sound like you. And yet you have to continue to push through and get the practice so you can get to a point where it is internalized and it feels really natural to you. Another person that went through the training program that I want to introduce you to, and I don't know if he's on the call right now, but Diego Colorado. And when I first met him, here's what I thought was really amazing about him. He was so committed to having a successful career in real estate. He went through my training program before he actually even received his license, right? He got a strong recommendation from someone who had taken the program. So his takeaway from going through the training was that it gave him clarity on what to do. He was told for the first couple of years in real estate, all you're going to be able to do is work open houses and work with buyers. That's what he was being told. However, after going through the program, he understood that he knew what to say and how to say it and how to approach sellers, and it gave him confidence to go after listings. It gave him a systematic and consistent approach to build his listing inventory up. So what I want to talk to you guys about now is where your focus is. High leverage, high conversion, low leverage, low conversion activities. Are you currently focused on database? Now, database is high conversion, it's low leverage. I think you guys would agree with that, right? Then we also have social media. It's high leverage, low conversion. And then we have like door knocking. And I don't mean farming, geo-farming a specific area. I mean, randomly going out and just door knocking areas and door knocking streets. It can be low leverage, low conversion. When you think of your business, where are you? What are you currently doing? Where are the activities? Are you more social media, more door knocking, more database? Throw it in the chat and tell me where you are and what you're focused on. What do you guys do? Social media is big. I'm a huge believer of social media. Database, social media, database. Okay. Okay. Expireds, cold calls. Okay. Got it. Cold calling. Okay. Seeing a lot of social media here. And again, I think social media is important and we need to do it. However, it's low conversion, right? Where should we really be focused? We should be going after our fastest source of business opportunity. Fastest source of business opportunity, right? I want to know, well, let me back up a little bit. I want you to know your fastest source of business opportunity are people that have their hands raised. And so many times we go out, we just door knock a neighborhood and we're talking to people and trying to find out if they would be interested in selling their house and if they move, where they would move to. And we're going and door knocking, and then we're driving past our fastest source of business opportunity. We're driving past expired listings. We're driving past for sell by owners, right? Because we don't know what to say. We don't know what to do in order to convert them. We don't know if they said, yes, I'm interested, we wouldn't know what to say. And so we sometimes are passing by the opportunities we're actually looking for, and we're doing activities that are low conversion and are low leverage. We need to make sure that we're focusing our energy on the right areas. And we're going to get more into that later on. But I need you to think about where you're spending your time and where you actually need to be spending your time. What are you saying here in the chat? I have 2 FSBOs and okay, gotcha. Well, listen, they're out there and I'm telling you more FSBOs are going to be coming and they're going to need your help. So we definitely need to make sure that you're going to be prepared for that opportunity, Michael. So what specifically do you want to improve on when it comes to your listing presentation? For those of you who are new, I'm sure it's going to be learning a listing presentation, right? That's probably the biggest thing, but what specifically, your confidence in delivering it? That's fair. All right, what else? What specifically do you want to improve on when it comes to your listing presentation? Objection handling. Listen, an objection is an unanswered question in the mind of a seller. You got to know how to answer those so that you can close that deal. You have to know how to overcome the objections, and there's definitely a system for that. Speed, okay, confidence, objection, getting the appointments, getting people to actually say, hey, yes, I'm actually interested in meeting with you. Love it, love it. Confidence and objection handling. Okay, I love it all. So we're going to take a journey here that I want you guys to follow me on really quickly. So I want to help you understand the journey that you're on when it comes to your mindset. And there are really 6 essential levels. And the first level that we're going to talk about and focus on is self, right? You walk up to the front door and you ask yourself questions like, what will they think of me? Will they even like me? Will they judge me? Will I be good enough? Now, when you're asking yourself those types of questions as you're walking up to the door for a listing appointment, what's the feeling you get? What's that emotion you're dealing with? You guys can throw it in the chat if you know, but when you're asking yourself things like, will they like me? Will they judge me? Will I be good enough? It's your nerves, it's fear, you're scared. Absolutely, that's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. Now, that's how you feel. You feel fear, but think about your audience, the sellers that you're actually meeting with. When they experience you being in fear, they get what? They get concerned. You guys have been and seen people do presentations where they're nervous and they're not doing a good job and they're botching the presentation. You get really concerned for them, right? And listen, if you're new, if this is where you are, I just want you to know that's okay. It's okay to be in fear. However, we need to move you up. In this triangle, we need to move you up and get you to a place where you're ready to take action. But I want you to know if this is where you currently are, that's okay. Now at level 2, the focus is typically about information, right? This is where you're putting together all your talking points, you're putting together your pricing, your comps, and typically you're just kind of throwing that all together. You don't necessarily have a canned presentation. You're just showing up with information and you're hoping they'll find it useful. You're hoping to connect with them to help them list with you, right? But hoping is not a strategy. Nick says that all the time. It's not a strategy. And when you're just hoping and you're showing up with all this information, you have all this paperwork, the feeling that you get is that you're overwhelmed. You get overwhelmed really quickly. And the results of focusing too much on the information is that when you feel overwhelmed, you start wondering, listen, am I saying the right thing? Am I saying the right stuff? Do I need to add more value to my presentation? Should I just go into building rapport so I can get them to like me? Should I maybe, discount my commission so I can secure the business? This is what you start doing. And the results of being overwhelmed is that your audience, this is the issue, your audience starts getting confused. You don't want to have any confused sellers, right? Because here's the thing that I know and I want you to understand, a confused buyer never buys. So you don't want to be overwhelmed. You don't want to overwhelm your seller, because if they get confused, they're never going to buy from you. So this is why I believe, do me a favor, guys, and stay muted if you can. Matt and Kimberly, if you can mute whoever's talking, you guys stay on mute. Thank you. Appreciate that. That's always interesting. So structure is the next one. The way most agents approach the listing presentation is completely different than how they approach selling. They see the two as being separate. So their presentation typically ends with more compliments than actual contracts. Most agents think it's just a numbers game. So they feel like, okay, I didn't get that listing. I just need to go out and get more appointments. But that just gives them the same results. So what is it called when you do the same thing over and over again and you expect a different result? What do we call that? Well, there's a name for it. Yeah, there we go, Ira. Insanity, right? You can't keep doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. This is where you feel clarity. You realize you need structure, you have clarity. And again, just think about the agents that you see that have a listing process and a presentation. Do you see them as having clarity? Yeah, you do. And that gives them credibility. That's what you want, the credibility. You want people to see your value. You want to be credible to the seller that you show up in front of. The hardest part is showing up to an appointment and having clients that are receptive to hearing what you have to say. So your presentation is only as good as your ability to connect with your clients. I hope that makes sense. So understanding your audience is about knowing how to move them emotionally. Remember I shared earlier, logic makes you think, emotion makes you act. Logically, the seller understands that they have to sell their house if they're truly motivated. But you need to know more about that so that you can move them, emotionally move them into making a hiring decision. Some things like asking questions, you have to be really good at that. You have to be comfortable digging deeper, saying things like, tell me more about that situation, share more with me about that issue. And we're going to talk about that tomorrow, but I just wanted to throw that in today. That's something that you guys have to be hyper aware about. So at this level, this is where you begin perfecting the craft of speaking in the way that connects with your audience, right? You have compassion. This is where your words that you use are important. The examples that you give are important. The stats that you cover, the stories that give you credibility to connect. This is where this is extremely important. And that compassion leads to you having a connection with your clients. People work with people they have a connection with. And so you have to understand what your audience is going through, what that seller is going through, how to connect with them emotionally so they have a connection and actually want to work with you. And this is where things really get interesting, right? Because when you understand the process, you can focus on leverage. Real estate is about the 3 L's: leads, listings, and leverage. And once I mastered converting leads into listing appointments and then converting those appointments into actual listings, I was able to leverage. I was able to hire an admin, hire a showing assistant, get open house support, all of that, which helped me rinse and repeat and go get more leads and go get more listings and then use leverage. So it's really important that we understand that, and it gives you conviction, right? You know what to do, you know what to say. every single time that you're talking to someone. And that leads to conversion. This is where we want to be, to a point where people are seeing our value and we're actually converting them into clients. Where are you guys focused right now? That's what I want you to think about. I'm going to have a follow-up question, but based on this list, I want you to start thinking about where you currently are in this whole process. And guys, I'm seeing some people in the weight room, if you can let them in. So the last part that I want to cover right now, contribution. This is where we go from self all the way up to contribution, right? This is how we get our unfair share, where we're able to contribute to our sellers. We become an authority. They see us as a local economist of choice. They trust us. They want to work with us. And we're recognized as being a top agent and the person that they actually want to work with. I want to get you up to that level of contribution. And I know we're somewhere in that triangle between self and contribution. If you had to really evaluate yourself, and there's no wrong answer here, on this triangle, where do you think you are? What stage do you think you're in? Self, information, structure, audience, leverage, or contribution? All right, information, self, structure, love it, love it. Okay, information. Okay, keep it going. Okay, so here's the lesson. Commit to this journey as you are closer to your breakthrough than you actually realize. I'm telling you that right now. You're so much closer than you actually realize. And what we have to do at this point in time is focus on how to get there by shifting your mindset. You have to have 3 mindset shifts, right? What's the first one? Motivated sellers will always list. We talked about that briefly. I don't know about anyone else, but I got into a pretty good rhythm of making calls and booking appointments. And I always got to the point where I was so excited that someone wanted to talk with me and meet with me. I would drop everything and just run to their house. Anybody guilty of that? Like, you didn't do any prep work. They just say, hey, I want to sell my home. You drop everything and just run out. I can't be the only person who's done that, right? But that's what I used to do. But here's the problem. I was converting like less than half of my listings. And why was that? Well, I realized once I got to their house, I didn't really know much about the seller, about their need to sell. I didn't fully understand the problem. I didn't fully understand the motivation. So I'm getting there and I don't have the information I need to cause them to make a decision. Remember, logic makes people think, emotion makes people act. All sellers have a problem they need solving, and they will list with the agent that can show their value and solve their problem. Understanding the problem or the motivation is the most important thing. And once I mastered what I call the pre-sale, my conversion numbers dramatically improved. Because when I understood their motivation, I was able to push the right buttons to get them into making a decision. This is why it's so important that we follow a script and we follow a CAN process so that we know how to uncover the problem, uncover the motivation, and then we have to constantly go back to motivation to get them to make a hiring decision. Remember, I'll say it over and over again, logic makes people think, emotion makes people act. Now, before we can even make this shift, I want to just share something with you here. A lot of you may know this, but it came as a surprise to me when I realized this. NAR, National Association of Realtors, did a nationwide study. And what they found is that 82% of home sellers only interview one agent. That blew my mind. And so what that told me, and what I hope you realize from this, is that you get that one at bat. Don't give them an opportunity to go interview other agents. They typically only interview one. The reason why they choose to interview other people is because you continue to show up without doing a pre-sale approach, without having a CAN listing presentation that you follow. And so they're overwhelmed. They're not going to make a decision. And you start causing them to ask you questions like, how many homes have you sold? How long have you been doing this? And then the truth starts coming out and they end up saying, hey, we're going to talk to some other people. We'll let you know. And you find yourself shaking hands and being escorted out of the house versus actually getting the listing paperwork signed. That's the importance. I know that's hard to hear, but that's the importance of actually following a CAN listings presentation. So When it comes to where you guys are in your business, and this is where I need some interaction from you, in the chat, I want to know when it comes to the listing process, what areas are you focused on? Are you focused on or need to know exactly what to say? Is your issue around the pricing discussion? Is your issue around closing? Is your issue around overcoming the objections? Where are you? The pre-qualified, the price. Price is tough for a lot of people, especially in this market. I completely understand that. Keep going. What else? What else are you guys on? Closing, motivation and pricing. Okay. And pricing, objections, overcoming objections. Okay. Got it. Got it. Got it. Thank you for sharing that. What if you were part of the 82% though? What if you had a system in place where when you went and met with that seller, they were only interviewing you and you knew exactly what to say and exactly what to do, and you were able to get those listings? How would that change your life? Think about that. How would that change your business? How would that change your confidence? And more importantly, because we're all doing this to get paid, how would that change your income? Can you commit to learning and mastering a pre-sale approach where before you even get to their house, you're working, you're getting the information that's going to create the opportunity for you? Can you commit to that? It's not a rhetorical question. Can you commit to that? If you can, I want you to type yes in the chat. Can you commit to mastering the pre-sale approach before you even get there? I hope that you can. Here's the other thing I need you to understand with your mindset shift. You are more valuable now as a real estate agent if, here's the thing, over the past 2 years, we all saw it. You can get your real estate license, go meet with your uncle, take his listing, put it up on the MLS, and the day it sold, over asking, right? They thought you were the best because the market was just working in your favor. You didn't really have to have a marketing strategy or a pricing strategy. Hell, you could put a property up on the market with no pictures and no description, and people would show up, see the house, and you'd have multiple offers and get the property sold quickly. You guys agree with that? It used to be easy, and we are seeing a shift in the market. The market is changing. I hope you guys know that. Things are so different now. I remember going on several listing appointments and I crushed it. You know, I went over the sold comps and the active comps to get my clients to agree on the pricing strategy. And my clients viewed me as an expert. And after reviewing and discussing the past sales and current activity, you know, we settled on the price. And that's the skill that you need to have. But let me tell you this. I went on this one listing appointment and I didn't do my job well. I had sold comps, but the active comps that I went over with the seller, he knew more about the listing than I did. He knew about those listings more than I did. So I'm telling him about these properties that are his active competition. And he's saying things like, I've actually been in that house. I saw that house. And here's why my home is better than that property. And guess what happened? Because I didn't do my job, I bought into what he was saying. I bought into his pricing. Oh, your house is better than that house. Okay, yeah, we should price it a little higher. I bought into his narrative because I wasn't the local economist of choice. If there's anything that you guys take away from this, if you're going to go after listings, let me tell you this. If you have active comps that are competition to your listing, go see it. That seller better not know more about those properties than you do. If you're using those as active comps in your presentation, go see those properties so you can tell the seller why they need to be priced where they need to be priced. You never want the seller to know more than you do. You're supposed to be the local economist of choice. You're supposed to be the next neighborhood expert, right? You should know the properties in your area that you work in. That's just a little caveat. I had to say that because I know so many people just pull the comps and they bring it and present it to a seller thinking the sellers don't know about those listings. But there are some very educated sellers in this market. And like I said, 82% of home sellers only interview one person. If they know more than you about the market, guess what? They're going to interview more people because they're not going to have the confidence in you being able to get the job done because you don't know the minimum things that you should know. I hope that makes sense. All right. And this goes back into being the local economist of choice. We have to be looking at stats. We have to know list price versus sales price ratio. We have to know days on market. We have to have a marketing plan that will allow listings to get marketing exposure. We have to be able to make a strong case for where a property needs to be priced and why it needs to be priced there. Our job should be previewing property every day. We should be the local economist of choice. In order to do that, every day we need to be taking stock of the inventory so we know what's going on in the areas that we work. That's the mindset shift. And based on that, I have to introduce you to Veronica. I think Veronica may even be on here, but I remember Veronica had a listing appointment and she had a seller that was not in agreement with her listing price strategy. And she went through an exercise, and it's a great exercise to go through where you're able to say to the seller, like, you're in seller mode right now. I want you to take your seller hat off, put your buyer hat on. Let's go through these properties. Let's have a discussion about why these homes are priced the way they are. And she was able to go through all the comps with that seller wearing a buyer hat and have a discussion with them on why it was important that they were priced a certain way. And afterwards, the seller thanked her for taking the time to necessarily do that, but also changing the way they looked at the market. That's what becoming a local economist of choice means, that you're able to have discussions and have those hard conversations, because it's not an easy conversation to have. But if you have the knowledge, if you have the stats, if you've done your homework, you're able to have conversations with sellers to get them to make the right decision, not for us, but for them. They have a problem they're trying to solve. They have motivation to sell their home and get somewhere. And it's our job to tell them what they need to hear. We can't get out scripted by the seller. We have to be able to have a conversation with them that gets them to understand why they need to be priced a certain way and what that price is. So if you did the work to become a local economist of choice, can you see how that would help your conversion rate? If you knew your market inside and out, you knew the comps, you knew the properties inside and out, can you see how that will help your conversion rate? If you can you commit to becoming a local economist of choice? If you can see how that can help you, I want you to commit to doing that. And if you can commit to becoming a local economist of choice, I want you to put yes in the chat. You should be committed at that level. Yes, I love it, 100%. Yes, you can. Yes, yes. This is really our job. So if you haven't been doing this, I got to tell you, this is your job. This is what you need to do. And then here's the thing. Here's the last one that I really want to cover. Respect over rapport. Has anyone met with a client and you do a great job building rapport? You know, I remember when I first started in real estate, the training they used to give us was the Ford method. You guys know what the Ford method, F-O-R-D, what's that stand for? Anybody know? Anybody practice that? Anyone still using the F-O-R-D method? If you are, type it in the chat. What's Ford stand for? F-O-R-D. What's that acronym stand for? If you don't know, just put I don't know. I'll give you a hint. F stands for, there we go. Okay, family, occupation, recreation. What's the D stand for? Because you guys are handling it. What's the D stand for? Dreams. Rosalia, there you go. Veronica, there you go. So a lot of times we're taught, when you go meet people, focus on the Ford, find out about their family. What do they do for a living? What do they like doing for fun? What are their dreams, right? I'm not saying that's not important, but again, they're not looking for a new friend. They're looking to hire a real estate professional. So in order to build rapport with the seller, you really have to connect with them and work on respect over rapport. There are times when you focus on Ford and you feel like you made a great friend, and they do like you. They really did connect with you. But instead of getting the contract signed, you're getting a handshake with, hey, we'll give you a call later on. And guess what? That call never happens. And the next day they end up listing with someone else who came in, and instead of focusing on building a rapport, they focused on building respect and showing that seller that they knew what needed to happen in order to get their property sold, and they took the listing. Work on becoming friends once you get the business done. In the beginning, they're looking to hire a professional that can actually execute and get the work done that they need done. Sellers are like closing their ears out, right? They don't care what you know until they know you care. You can come in there and start talking about, I can sell it for more. I can sell it faster. My office is number one. You should hire me because. They don't care about that. Until they know you care about them, they're kind of closed off to anything that you have to say. I had to learn how to embrace that statement. And it finally clicked that building respect really helped me get more listings. I was able to turn things around really quickly too and work on my conversion rate. And so this is why in my training program, I have a 5-question formula that helps you understand motivation and earn the respect of your sellers. You have to have a system. There are questions that can really allow you to tap into what's important to that person. And this is where it can get a little uncomfortable, but this is the difference between you having a listing appointment and you actually taking the listing. It's you taking time to really dig deep and understand what's important to that seller, what their true motivation is, what is the pain or pleasure that's causing them to actually uproot their family. If you don't know that, hey, I need to be to California by November is not enough. It's why California and what's important about that and what's that going to do for you, and really taking the time to ask the question and then do a really good job of shutting up and listening to the answer. That's where we struggle. That's where we have a lot of problems, is even when people are sharing with us, we're such in sales mode that they're giving us the information we need, but we're not listening because we're so busy thinking about how to respond, what to say next, how to get them to list with you. We got to learn, ask the question, let them answer, be quiet, and then dig deeper into what they're telling us so that we can get a full picture of what's important to that seller and what they're looking to accomplish by getting their home sold. Are you guys fed up with working on building rapport? You're out there, you're door knocking, you're going to see people, you're calling people, you feel like you're building up all this rapport, but you're not getting the business, you're not getting the at-bats, you're not getting the opportunities. Are you tired of leaving the listing appointment and you're empty-handed, you're not getting any paperwork signed? From now on, I need you guys to commit to make building respect a priority over building rapport. People will list with you if they see that they respect you. And here's the thing that I like to say, and what I want you guys to actually think about. We are taught to make contacts. Our ultimate goal is to get a contract signed, right? Contacts is what we need to be doing. We want to get contracts signed. What letter is the difference between those words? It's the letter R, building the respect. You make the contact, you build the respect, that turns into a contract. So that's what I need you to focus on, the R factor, making sure you're building the respect with the sellers that you're actually meeting with. All right, so with that being said, I just want to review a couple of things really quickly. We already talked about where your time is focused. We talked about where you are now, self versus contribution. We talked about the mindset shifts that you need to have. Motivated sellers will always list. You are more valuable now if. Respect over rapport. We've talked about all those things. What we need to be prepared to talk about tomorrow, and I'm going to go over that really quickly with you, is this. These are the next steps that I want you guys to be prepared for. Tomorrow we're meeting Wednesday, 11 a.m. In this session, you'll understand how to fully understand the seller's true motivation for selling their house. We're going to talk about the pleasure and pain framework, becoming the local economist of choice, how to select a quality role play partner to help you level up. And for those of you who've done it in the past, you know that can be one of the hardest things to do, is find consistent role play partners, and how to close for every single opportunity that you're in front of. That's what you guys are going to learn to do. And that's what we're going to talk about when we go over our training tomorrow. But here's what I want to know from you. And you can put this in the chat. What's been the most valuable so far that we've covered? What's been the most valuable thing? This is recorded and it's in the Facebook group, so I got you covered. It's recorded. Based on what we covered today, and I don't want you to say the last thing I talked about, but what was the one thing I shared that actually had the most impact with you today? Get rid of fear. Listen, we all have limiting beliefs. Even me, I have limiting beliefs, right? Structure, commitment, respect over rapport. If you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. I love it. I love it. What else? What else are you guys learning? And here's what I want you to do. If you guys are willing to be coachable, I'm going to do something. I'm going to unshare my screen really quickly. I'm going to change my view so I can see all of your beautiful faces here. I'm going to do this really quickly. Can you guys do me a favor and wave? Pete, what's up? So what's up, Dev Dash? I'm putting this up on my Instagram. So I'm trying to teach you guys to do what you need to be doing. You guys need to be posting more. So what I want you to do, if you'll do me a favor and do yourself a favor and get into posting, I want you to tag me and post. Take a picture of the stream if you want to. We can throw up some deuces. So we can take some pictures, but I want you to post what was the most valuable for you. What was your major takeaway from today? What did you learn today that really had an impact on you? We're getting into it slowly by talking about mindset. Tomorrow, we're really going to take it off to another level, because here's the thing that I want all of you guys to understand. And I just wanted to talk to you for a few minutes before we wrap it up today. Here's what I want you to understand. The market is different now. You know, we went from selling 6 million houses, and they're saying, what, this year we're going to sell 4.3 million houses. That's still a lot of houses, right? And that number may not be quite that high. It kind of fluctuates depending on who you talk to. It kind of goes closer to 4 million. It fluctuates. But what I want you to understand is that like 10% of the agents are getting 90% of the business. Why are they doing that? Why are they getting that business? I can tell you why. They are taking action. They have a process that they are following, and they're very consistent in doing the work that we need to do every day as real estate agents. And based on the paperwork you guys filled out to actually attend today, like I said before, I took notes. I went over it last night. The biggest thing that we're dealing with is consistency and discipline, and not knowing what to say, not knowing what to do. Here's what I'm going to tell you. When you finish up this 3 days, you're going to know what to do, and you're going to know what you should be saying. It's a matter of, it's time to take action. It's time to take action. Because if we don't take action and things don't pop here in real estate, guess what? It's time to go get a JLB, right? Time to go get a job. Somebody in the chat, tell me what job stands for. What's the acronym for JLB that I say? Just over broke. You got it. And here's the thing that I feel very committed to with this class that I'm doing, and with my push training program, and with all the calls that I do, the morning mindset calls and real talk. I want to keep you committed to real estate. You guys all left your job for a reason. You got into real estate for a reason. Some of us, it was because we watched HGTV and we fell in love with real estate, and we thought it was going to be super easy, and we found out pretty damn quick it's not as easy as they make it seem on TV. I think you guys would agree with that. It requires a certain amount of commitment, a certain amount of discipline. But here's the thing that I love. There's a blueprint already. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You just have to learn the process, and you have to be committed to doing the process every single day, whether you feel like it or not. It's not about waiting to be inspired by watching a Tony Robbins or Eric Thomas video. It's about, I'm disciplined. This is what I need to do, and I'm doing it every single day. And my goal is to give you that, give you clarity on what you need to do and what you need to say every single day, so that you can show up and start getting your unfair share. There are plenty of people out there that still need to sell their home. And I'm not talking about the people who are like, well, if you can give me $500,000 over market value, I'll sell. I'm not talking about the people who say, if I don't sell my home, I can stay here until I die. I'm talking about the people who are extremely motivated to sell their home. They're out there, but it's our job to get in front of them and find those opportunities. And we have to make sure that we're ready for those opportunities. So when they say yes, it's just a matter of us getting out there and doing our job. That's what we're going to cover over the next 3 days. And I just wanted to let you guys know, a lot of times you don't have the confidence in yourself. You're new. Lean on me. Lean on other people that believe in you and have confidence in you, and then just start doing the work. And I promise you the results will show up. Real estate's simple. It ain't easy. If it was easy, everybody'd be doing it. You guys agree with that? But what I'm going to do is show you what you need to do in order to get out there and get your unfair share, because people need your help. And when you aren't prepared, what are you saying no to? I think about my daughters. I shared the picture with you. If I'm saying no to picking up the phone, right? Am I going to be able to afford college? If I'm saying no to door knocking and going on that listing appointment, am I going to have the money I need for retirement? I don't know about you guys, man, but people are living to be over 100 years old. I don't want to be a 99-year-old realtor. I want to make my money so I can live the life I want to live. And by the way, if I can just say this, it's pronounced realtor. I had a conversation with someone. How many of you guys say realtor? Realtor. We got to get that one right. I had a conversation with someone. We had the biggest laugh about that because we were watching all these crazy videos. You guys are realtors, and that means that you provide value. That means that you're the local economist of choice. I need you to believe that. I need you to believe that when people see that you know what you're talking about, they're going to give you a shot. And I need you to walk in that purpose and go out there and help people get to where they're trying to go. So I appreciate you guys being here today. I'm super excited about tomorrow because tomorrow is where we get into the meat of it. All of you who share with me that you're fear of prospecting, you're feeling defeated, you don't have the confidence, you're not being consistent. All of you guys definitely need to make sure you show up tomorrow because we're going to get into what you need to be doing. I understand that this can be tough, but I'm ready to make it happen for you. And if you guys are committed to it, I'm committed to it. So I will see you guys tomorrow. I really appreciate you being here today. Let's go get after it. Let's go get our unfair share. And hopefully I'll see some posts on Instagram, you guys throwing up some posts. I hope you want it more than you fear it. Think about what you want. Think about your big why. What are you doing this work for? Why is real estate so important for you? Why is having success in real estate so important for you? What's that going to do for your family? How's that going to change your family legacy? Where are you going to be able to go? What are you going to be able to buy? What are you going to be able to experience? Who are you going to be able to bless? Because you stop letting fear stop you from taking action. You got to want it more than you fear it, right? I want it more than I fear it. I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. I'll see you at 11 o'clock. See you.